What's up, everyone? Thomas K.R. Stovall. This is Amplify Daily, day 18 out of 365 on my personal newsletter. Today, we are going to continue the breakdown of the $53,000 launch that I've been walking on through. And now we're to the point in the process where we're talking about storytelling. And I've got a 7-step process for creating compelling, vivid stories that are concise and that really have the reader stop, pay attention, and really want to engage further. This is a structure that can be used for emails, for social media posts, for articles, as well as for ads. Okay, any other kind of writing that you're doing. So, without any further ado, I am going to walk y'all through a line by line example. This is example number 2 now of how I use this exact format, literally line by line, to create the email that kicked off this campaign that I'm walking y'all through. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen and just walk y'all through it. All right, so what you're looking at over here on the left is the first email that I wrote for the campaign that we're talking through. And over here, these are steps 2 through 7 in my 7-step process. Step number 1 is all about naming the article or email, etc. And steps 2 through 7 are all about the body copy. So we're going to focus on step 2 through 7 here. So the first step here in the body copy is to make a fundamental assertion. And how I describe that is specific to that particular domain, make a clear and definitive statement of something that works, something that's broken, or a foundational belief that is easy for a reasonable person who is familiar with the topic to accept, or is something they would assume is totally false. All right, so I've given y'all a few examples down here, and also an insight that when this is framed in 2 parts, with one part being the question, the second part being the fundamental assertion, it can be really powerful. So let's look over here. This is the first line of the email. There's a huge difference between hitting your first $2,500 month and getting to $10,000 in a month with your clothing brand, right? That's the foundational belief that so many of y'all have, that this jump takes a long time, and it's dead wrong. Okay, so if we're looking over here, what did I do? I used 2 sentences. In the first sentence, part 1 was framed as a question. Okay, there's a huge difference between hitting that first 2,500 and getting to 10,000 in a month with a clothing brand, right? So that's kind of like introducing that little bit of, are we sure? Seems logical, right? That there's a big gap. But then we insert the question mark and we're saying, well, is it? And the second half of it, that's the foundational belief that so many of y'all have, that this jump takes a long time and it's dead wrong. That's the fundamental assertion. And we're saying, here's where you are flawed in your thinking. Here's how we need you to be thinking. So now that's something that's going to have somebody sit up, pay attention. It's a jump from 2,500 to 10 grand is nothing. That's going to have somebody stop and read that next line. And in the next line, we want to introduce transformation. And we do that by creating what I call creating the chasm. That's framing the problem or opportunity that now arises as a result of the context that we gave in the fundamental assertion. So when we do that, some insights, we're going to outline the experience on the other side of success, or the experience the customer has of the thing that they perceive to be in their way of success. Now, this is powerful when bookended as a question rather than a statement. And I'm going to show y'all how I did that over here. So now we move to the third sentence. Some of y'all are thinking, how do I make 10,000 plus months predictable for my clothing brand when I've never built a team, don't know what systems, processes, and partnerships I need, and I'm scared that maybe I'll still fail, even if I did have the roadmap? Okay, so what we've done here is we've created the chasm. We've framed the problem or opportunity that arises as a result of the fundamental assertion. So here is the fundamental assertion. that the foundational belief that it's really hard to jump from 2,500 to 10 grand in a month in a clothing brand, that's the foundational assertion. And we're the fundamental assertion, we're saying it's flawed. And so, okay, if I accept that, then some of y'all are thinking, how do I make 10 grand months predictable when I've never built a team, don't know what systems, processes, partnerships, etc., and I'm scared that I may fail, even if I did have the roadmap, I still might not execute it right. So now we've created that chasm that we know is going to be present in their mind, and this just widens the gap. We want to widen that gap because we want them kind of thinking, well, where is he going to go from here? The next place we want to go is storytelling. We want to get them directly out of their left brain and into their right brain. So they've got space to actually explore this thing with us. Now, when we're choosing a story, we're going to choose out of one of those 9 story frames that I gave y'all. And here they are again: overcoming objections, personal story, aspirational, social proof, industry education, is this you, limited time, don't miss out, transactional, big announcement. Okay. So here we're going to tell this story. We go right into quick story and we tell them that it's a story. And that's a way that you can kind of catch people and put them at ease. When you say, let me tell you a story, or when you say quick story, immediately people perk up because, oh, it's story time. You know, everybody loves stories. We are designed in narrative. So when you say you have a story, people will always pay attention until they find out it's boring. But we're working through that now. Quick story. Y'all know we just did our first collab on the Boss Up conference with Master P and Rap Snacks last week, right? Over 2 years ago, November 27, 2021, we had a chance to meet Master P at the Boss Up conference. And we show a flyer of that particular event. Master P was at the event for hours, supporting every single vendor there. We showed up late, and by the time we got there, Master P was already on the way out. We thought we had more time, but we ended up missing the opportunity to have a conversation with him. 2 years later, here we are, finally realizing a dream we had that day of collaborating with Master P on the Boss Up conference just last week. Crazy, right? But how much faster could we have accelerated if we had positioned ourselves properly 2 years ago and not missed that opportunity then? All right, so is this just a story? Of course it's not. Which one of these 9 is this? Is this overcoming objections? Nah. Is it a personal story? Could be. Aspirational? No. Social proof? Nah. Industry education? Nope. Is this you? Not so much. Limited time, don't miss out? Huh. Ever thought you had plenty of time and then you missed the train? Over here, what are we talking about? We're framing the fact that 2 years ago, they could have met with Master P and they're just now getting this collaboration 2 years later. So yeah, it turned out for them. But what would it have been like if they had that connection 2 years ago? How much faster could they have moved? We're framing right here on the first day of the campaign. We're anchoring that thought. You're probably going to be fine, right? I'm sure you're going to make it. I'm sure you're going to figure it out with your clothing brand. But even if you do, how much faster could you have gone if you had the right help around you to accelerate your process? We want to see that in their subconscious from day one. That's why I told that story there. All right, so let's keep it moving. The next thing that we hit after we tell a vivid story. Oh, and also part of the vivid story is why I had them go and pull this exact flyer from 2 years ago, is just to add that little bit of visual that puts them right there in the room with Marlon and Nick and Master P 2 years ago, when they were kind of feeling themselves a little bit. They showed up late and they paid the price. So now, step number 5 is, when sharing the outcome, we want to present the solution. All right. And so we go to, there's no such thing as luck. There's moments where preparation and readiness meets opportunity. Attention, inner circle members. All right. So now we're moving into the solution, the announcement about that. Excuse me. If you're ready to take your brand to the next level, we've got a big announcement coming in exactly 7 days. On December 29, 2023 at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, lives will change. Mark your calendar, save the date, do not be late. This announcement and invitation is exclusively for the 52 active alumni, 25, current members, and 62 past members. No one else in the Activate Your Vision community will see it, so please don't share it outside the group. So let's stop. Let's take a look. We're going to present the solution. All right, so now when we are presenting the solution, we want to outline exactly what's going to happen. So in Alicia Little's upcoming masterclass, participants will create their own AI ghostwriter in real time, train it, blah, blah, blah. So we want to hit exactly what's going to happen, right? So up here, what are we doing? We're saying no such thing as luck, attention. If you're ready to take your brand to the next level, we got the big announcement coming in exactly 7 days. Mark your calendars. It's for this number of people, this exact group. We're laying them out by number. So what I'm doing here is really outlining for people exactly who this invitation is for. Now in this one, it's more of a secret. We're not going to give them the exact sauce for what's going to be covered. We're just letting them know, make sure you're in the room. And everybody is not going to be in the room, right? Let's go to number 6, where we set the boundary. Everybody's not invited to this room. In setting the boundary, we want to create a clear expectation of who isn't invited. And by saying who isn't invited, that now has everybody start to wonder, well, wait a minute, am I invited? Can I be in the room? I want to be in that room. That's the fastest way to make your room a room that is coveted, that is attractive, is to say, actually, y'all, everybody can't be here. Everybody can't be here. You know what makes a country club or any type of room that is curated, right? Any type of room that is curated, what makes it special is not the people who are invited. It's just as much the people who aren't invited. So that sends a signal to about who's going to be in that room, the people who aren't invited. So when we say we're setting that boundary of exactly who's going to be there, we're saying it is only for this group of people. No one else in the Activate Your Vision community will see it. So please don't share if you're to anyone outside of this group. It is only for this group. So we're setting and creating this boundary right here. Now let's look at step 7. We're outlining next steps. Excuse me. We're outlining next steps. We want to create a call to action as a conditional invitation. And it's conditional because we're only inviting those people who we've set up in step 6 and said it's for them. So let's scroll down a bit more. For those of you who haven't yet hit your second critical milestone and had a $2,500 month, you're not quite ready for what we're going to be announcing. We have something different for you that you'll hear about next week too. But for the rest of you, ask yourself this: are you finally ready to stop playing and go all in on yourself? Are you struggling for your brand to make the jump and hit that first 10,000? Are you still in the dark on how to implement the exact systems, processes, partnerships, an action plan to make $10,000 plus months regular for your brand? If you're an inner circle, if you're an inner circle member and you have your sights set on getting to $10,000 plus every month, predictably, then scale, we promise that you don't want to miss this announcement. What do you need to do? Simply be there on time. But here's the catch: this is an open and close opportunity. Once we make our announcement and the offer that goes with it, you'll have until midnight that day to act. Miss this and it's gone, we assure you. This is a one-time offer and you'll never see it again after that day. Reminder: this invite is for your eyes only, strictly for the inner circle. Please respect the exclusivity of this event. Do not share this announcement with outside members. This is not for them. Can't wait to see you. So, excuse me, with this, I actually went back and forth between step 6 and step 7, framing the opportunity, making it conditional, framing it more, making it conditional, framing it more, making it conditional, because this was really meant to be a very, very private kind of announcement. The first play or step that I kind of lean into when I'm launching is creating a private room environment, whether that's a Facebook group, a Zoom call, whatever it might be. There's always going to be some group of people that has been engaging with me in a particular way, and I'm going to make the launch to them first so that I can have my most engaged group actually feel special, take immediate action, and then I lock out all the people who probably weren't going to buy right away anyway. But by saying you can't buy, now they're like, wait a minute, how come I can't be in the room? The fastest way to make your thing compelling and desirable, again, is to tell people they can't come. So all the folks who weren't gonna want to come anyway, tell them they can't, and now they feel some sort of way and they want to. All right. So I hope that this has been useful for thinking through how to actually create compelling stories, compelling copy that actually has people stop, pay attention, and I guess, you know what, I'm going to show y'all um, a slightly different look too, because sometimes when you're writing a testimonial, I write my testimonials not as testimonials. I tell stories about the people who we're featuring. I like to think of it more as a feature than a testimonial or an interview even. So let me show y'all really quick before we jump, because I think I'm not gonna cover this next one in detail on a whole call, but I'm just gonna give you a snapshot of what this looks like. When I'm doing a feature of a particular person, what I do is I gather all of the data about, what their goals were, what was their pain, what were the roadblocks that were in their way, and I actually document this in bullet point form, all the details about that person. So in this case, these are all the details about Jamie, and I got this from Marlon on a call with him about, hey, give me all your best case studies, and then we organized, we ranked them. Now, writing out everything about Jamie. It's literally, hey, meet Jamie. In 5 months, he went from here to there, chased his dream. Dream didn't come true. Here's the failure that we need to insert, make him human. Basketball was his first focus, but the brand was always in the background, et cetera, et cetera. So this is Jamie's story. And then we start with, he wasn't ready to go all in. We make him relatable. It's not all roses and lollipops. He actually was scared, and he didn't go all in right away. Didn't want to quit his job. Didn't want to hire anybody. But slowly but surely, he starts to level up. And then Marlon tells him, "Hey, man, if you really want to do this, you got to make a commitment. You're going to have to take some risk." And so he opens his kiosk, and he does that. Boom, he jumps up several thousand, 4,700 the next month. This is the same guy who said, I don't know how to sell. And he's out front selling in his kiosk the first 30 days. He didn't want to hire any employees. After that first 30 days, he doesn't want to work in the kiosk anymore. He's ready to level up. He starts to see the momentum. And he hired his first 3 employees while working his day job. Now, October, 7,000 in sales. November, 8,000 in sales. And so now we cap it. Jamie's story isn't even 6 months old, but tens of thousands of dollars in sales from scratch later. This is what happened from him being in the inner circle, right? And so these are the stories that we tell every day inside of a launch campaign. Day 1, meet Malik. Day 2, meet Jamie. Day 3, meet Kieran. Day 4, meet Lespencia. Day 5, meet Quan. Let your customers tell your story for you. When you actually have case studies, nobody wants to see a testimonial. Testimonials can be edited. A lot of times they're not necessarily the customer's actual words, but when you put together a story, it allows you to then do this. I'm getting ready to show you. We then storyboarded Jamie's story, and this same block of text, right, that makes up the email that we told Jamie's story in becomes an actual story on social media. I'm going to show you the storyboard, then I'm going to show you the finished post. All right, so here's where we actually storyboarded Jamie's story. And again, I don't know who else does this. This is just kind of my unique format. But grab all the images, stuff like this, and we can see which images begin to tell a story. So slide one, we want to kind of anchor the outcome. Meet Jamie. 5 months, went from 400 to 30,000 in sales while keeping his day job, because that's going to speak to a certain person. Everybody's not going to be ready to quit and go all in. So we want to tell the story of Jamie because he didn't. Now that's the first image. And now we want to go to chasing his dream. He wanted to play basketball professionally. He did for some time, playing overseas, even went to Mexico. Now we need to insert the humanness, get off of just images, and we get a caption of him actually telling this story. I got cut. Now what? Man, this guy's got to figure out the rest of his life now, and what human can relate to that? Having a dream deferred, dream failed. What am I going to do now? And now he remembers this brand that's kind of always been in the background, begins to take it a little bit more seriously. It was a hobby, right? But now maybe there's something more here. So this is a shot that I thought was perfect for this because it's just a handful of pieces. It's not like a palette of stuff, but he's thinking through it, right? He's in deep thought, he's figuring it out. This is a perfect way to begin to make the transition where he's looking at like he's got multiple pieces, but he still is figuring this thing out. He's not sure yet. And then now he's on site. He's either at an event or at his kiosk. He's looking confident. Excuse me. He's joined the inner circle now. Things are looking up. Now it's that point in the story where he's talking to Marlon. And this is a shot where he's talking to Marlon, but I want to communicate that moment where Marlon was just let him know, hey man, I understand what you want to do, but you're going to have to, if you don't want to quit your job, you got to hire people, or else you're not going to scale. So it's this moment where we want to show the interaction and the wisdom being imparted, and what happens after that. Now Jamie's gonna go back to video. He's gonna tell his story about that conversation with how that conversation with Marlon impacted him and what happened. Hired his first employee, etc. And another video where he continues to tell that story. He didn't know what he was doing when he first got started, but then he just followed the blueprint. 7,000, 8,000. So we really want to show that you don't have to know what you're doing. And then at the back end of the slideshow, now we see the pallets. He's really growing. He's got large inventory now. Really has grown into a true brand. And so I'm gonna show y'all what that looks like on their timeline. And you can see how quickly these stories like this went viral because we're telling human stories. People want to see human stories that are relatable, but you got to start with, here was the pain, here was the uncertainty. Here's where we inserted the solution, and maybe it went well right away, maybe it didn't. But we want to show like that story arc, and then the climax on the end. It's no different than putting together a treatment for a movie or a TV show or whatever. You want to tell stories, and the story is not, hey, come out for my big event and we're going to have the biggest discounts. Like, that's not the story. We want to tell human stories that actually get people excited. So here's Jamie's story. Here's the one that y'all just saw. Meet Jamie. Went from blank to blank while keeping his job. Now notice on the side here, this is our same story that we've written. And over here in the images, this is the story that we've storyboarded. Okay. So this is exactly like there's nothing magical here. This is good old fashioned storytelling, getting into the weeds, getting into the details, understanding who it is you're speaking to, pulling out stories that map onto their life, and using a framework to have those stories be vivid. And then using imagery that matches what we're talking about. So let's go to the next one. Here's Jamie. He's got some energy there. I got cut. Now what? So he's talking through it. Now slide 4. Again, we're just following exactly what we put together here. Okay, slide 5. There's Jamie. He's joining the inner circle now. Let's go to slide 6. Jamie's talking to Marlon, right? Slide 7. Outside of his comfort zone a little bit. Let's go here. So he's going to talk through it a little bit. We're going to hear from him a little bit more. Man, I didn't know what I was doing. And these guys showed me everything that I needed to know, that whole thing. And the last slide, I believe, is him with his palettes. Congrats, Jamie. Did a great job. And so this is the story. This is what it looks like. This is just like you plan out your campaign. You plan out your storytelling. And what happens is people like human stories. And it's pretty predictable, right? That when you do a feature like this on Jamie, Jamie's like, oh man, so humble to be on, to be featured by you guys. Really appreciate that. Is Jamie gonna share that story? Of course he is. Do you have to ask Jamie to share that story? You don't. You don't. When you write viral, when you do viral storytelling that features somebody, you don't have to ask them. And if you do, it kind of makes it inauthentic for them to share because it wasn't their idea. You want to write stuff that's so compelling that, like, why would they not share it? This is to his benefit to share this. It tells his story probably better than he could. So when you can shine a spotlight on your customers like that, this is much different than a testimony. Much different than a testimonial. It is a feature of a member and it lives different than a testimonial or an interview. So if you have not started doing features of your members, I highly suggest that you think about it because it's a fantastic way to storytell with a purpose that gets people into your funnel, into your offers, and hopefully generate some revenue for you. So I hope that was a little bit that was beneficial. I did more in this video than I was planning on it, but if you know me, that's kind of my style. So y'all have a great day, and I will talk to you on the next episode of Amplify Daily.